So apologies if this video is not what you're expecting, but I did two videos on pop-up waist assemblies. One on basically how they work, and the other one on the differences between the plastic version and the heavy brass versions. This video is about a universal stopper. Now, I was in Lowe's a few weeks ago shopping some plumbing supplies, and I found this ridiculous looking stopper, and I said, wow, that's interesting. I wonder if it works. You know, most of the houses I walk in on, these stoppers are missing. Now, whether the people took them out or whether they were missing when they moved in, who knows? Most people are afraid to get under there and replace them with a proper or a matching version, which is available. But these seemed kind of unique. It looks like all you have to do is like kind of like just push this down and it's going to grab onto the rod. But you know what? I don't know if it's going to work. And that's what this video is about. Whether this ridiculous looking thing actually will hold the water and operate up and down. So stick around. Oops, I almost forgot. Get lost. Okay, guys, here we are on the bench, and I first want to mention that if you're here wanting to know how a pop-up assembly works, what I am going to do is link that video in the cards up above to your right and also in the description box below this video. I did two videos, one on how a pop-up actually works and another one on the differences between a plastic pop-up and a brass pop-up. That's not what this video is about. This video is basically about this crazy looking stopper that I happened to find in Lowe's. I was shopping for some plumbing supplies and I saw this on a card and I thought, wow, this is kind of a unique looking thing, and let me see what this is all about. And I actually put it through some tests to see if it actually worked, and it actually does work, and I'm going to show you that with what I have here on the bench. But let me briefly, I'll bring up the card that this was on, and it's made by a company called Waterworks, and it's a universal pop-up stopper. And if we flip the card over, it basically gives you some examples of what this particular stopper will replace. There are several different styles of stoppers out there on the market, um, some plastic, some brass, and this card claims that it will replace most of them. And I actually have three of them up here on the bench, and we'll see how it works. And we're going to do that right now. So let me just get this card up here for you. Anyway, it comes with a bunch of instructions. And one other thing, in case you're interested, the top of this actually screws off, and they sell different finishes. So as you can see, this one's chrome, but they come satin, they come brass tone, they come bronze tone. So you can actually change this to match your particular faucet or pop-up assembly. So again, I did a video, and again, I'll link that video down below, but the differences between these two are plastic. These are plastic pop-up assemblies. And this is a heavy-duty brass assembly, which are the ones that I actually install for my consumers. I don't actually install these plastic things. Again, for more information about that, check out the video down below or check out the cards up above, and it'll take you directly over to that video. But basically, this is about the pop-up. Now, I walk in a lot of houses, and a lot of times the stoppers are missing. They have screens in them. They took them off. Maybe they weren't there when they actually moved into their apartment house, and they just never put it back, or they were afraid to back off this nut to take the rod out and actually put the stopper in. But let me just bring up a few different styles here. Now, most of them kind of look like this, if you will. Different manufacturers have a little different take on the design. And I mean, these can be installed one of two ways. If you don't want this to be removable, you actually would have to back off the nut here on the pop-up. And what you would do is you'd have to pull this rod out, and then if you can look at the stopper here, you see that hole there? So you could place that inside, and then you'd put this rod in. You'd have to get that in the hole, And as you can see, it's going up and down there. And then what you would do is you would snug up the nut. You want to make sure you catch it straight. Let's see if I can get this on here. So, and the more torque you put on it, the more resistance you put on it, it's going to allow that stopper to go up and down. And if you catch the hole, this is not going to be able to come out. And basically what happens eventually is hair goes down there, down to floss, gunk, etc. Over time, a lot of that stuff's going to get caught on the stopper. And if you want to be able to remove it and clean it, you're going to have to back off this nut and then pull the rod out again. But if you don't want to go through that all the time, what you can do is we'll take this out. We'll put this back in again. And there are a series of washers in here, guys, both inside and outside. Make sure they're in there. Okay, so what you can do is you can take the stopper, and if you simply, I don't know if you can see the way that's designed there, you can actually drop that in and it'll sit on the rod and it'll still operate. You get that up and down function, but you're able to pull this out. So then you can just pull it out and clean it. Now, I would imagine that if you did thread the rod through the hole, you know, when you lift it up on the rod, it probably would give a tighter seal because there's a little more resistance there. But again, if you don't want to be bothered removing this every time you have to clean the stopper, then I would recommend you just put it in so it's removable. So this is one style of stopper. This particular stopper goes with where are we? Oh, here we are. We have this stopper, which goes with this pop. And again, you can thread the hole. You can thread the rod through the hole, or you can choose to put it in there. So this way, you'd put it in this way if you wanted to catch the hole, and then you do a quarter turn, and that would actually let it operate that way. So again, this is removable. You can clean it out, and then just drop it back in again, and you're going to be back in business. So a lot of times, like I mentioned, these are missing, and a lot of people don't want to take apart the pop-up behind. You know, they're afraid, you know, if I touch this, I'm gonna cause a leak. But I wish I was able to stop up the water. You know, you guys out there want to shave, you want to be able to fill up the bowl with water, but a lot of times maybe people go out and get a rubber plug and put it in here because they don't have that function of a stopper. Well, that's where this thing comes in. So essentially what you want to do is you want to get this, and now this rod can be either all the way up or all the way down. It really makes no difference because you can adjust the height of it after you get this in. But you want to try to, I don't know if you can see that rod in there. It's in the middle. And you want to basically get this down and you want to kind of just guide this onto that rod. And once you feel a little resistance down there, I mean, basically you push on it. And what's going to happen is this goes up and down. And if it's not all the way down, what you can do once this rod is all the way in up position, you can actually push this down as far as it can go. And look at this. I mean, it gets the job done. And simply, if you want to remove it and clean it, you just pull it out. Pretty simple. That's that one. We'll take this one. Same thing. Again, the rod, you could keep it straight, you could keep it up, you could keep it down. It really doesn't make a difference because you can make the fine adjustment later. You take this, you got to send it down there. You got to feel the rod. You got to feel a little resistance. And hey, so these are two plastic pop-ups I have here. And it seems to be doing the trick. And we'll pull this out. Let's take the brass one up here. And before I do this, what they say in the instructions is sometimes these diameters in these pop-ups, they may vary. Some manufacturers may be slightly smaller. some may be slightly larger. And they say if you feel resistance as you're pushing this down inside, if you're getting resistance, they claim you can file these little wings down here. You can file them down, to fit the diameter of the stopper you're working on. And here is a perfect example. Although I have this down and it's actually over the rod here, these wings are too big. They're hitting down below here. So what you would have to do is you'd have to take this puppy out, and you would have to, either with a file or with an aviator snips, just snip some of that plastic away. If you look at the one that came inside the brass pop-up here, it's slightly, it's not as wide actually across. It's actually a little smaller than the plastic one I have in my hand here. I'll show you if I bring this up here. This is the brass version. You can see how that's got some play in it. And if I try to put this one in, what is going to happen is it goes over the rod, but it will not operate up and down. It doesn't go down any further than this because these plastic wings are hitting down below here. So you would have to trim this, and I have no doubt that it would work. So what we're going to do now is let's give it the final test. I'm going to hop into the bathroom down here, and I'm going to put this in my sink, and we're going to stop up with the water, and we're going to see if this actually will hold water. So stand by. So it looks like it did hold the water, but truth be told, after I shut the camera off, I stood there and watched it, and it did ever slightly go down. But you have plenty of time to have a shave or wash your hands. There's no question about it. Folks, your choice is to go out and get a universal stopper like this, or see if you can replace the original one that actually came with your pop-up. And a lot of times that's going to mean backing off that rod in the back so you can lift the original one out. Because more often than not, they're connected. They're not removable. And if you're afraid of causing a leak behind, this is a good alternative. Folks, I want to thank you for stopping by the channel, watching my videos. Much appreciated. If you're getting value out of these videos, I would ask you to please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell, but more importantly, hit that like button. When you hit that like button, YouTube puts these videos out in front of more eyes, thereby saving people some bucks on their plumbing bills. Folks, keep an eye out to one of two of these videos that are going to pop up here to your right. One of them I chose, one of them YouTube chose. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming by. I really appreciate your viewership. Stay well. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And as always, happy plumbing.